We're just gonna fucking go for it. We're just going for it.
Hi.
Welcome. You know what? No, we're not even gonna start it that way. I don't want to say welcome. I want to say what I want to say. And what I want to say is nothing. Bye. Just kidding. The other day, I was having anxiety. I typically have anxiety a lot in my life. It's something that I'm dealing with. It's something I'm working through. It's something I'm aware of. I know my anxiety is irrational and it makes no sense. The other day, I was out and I went to this coffee shop. I don't know, maybe it was just like the vibes, the barista vibes, a lot of like, gave me weed energy. I don't want to like attack like a certain group of people. Love and respect. I don't partake. I'm not a weed smoker, but I have a lot of love and respect for my friends who do. It's a plant. It's a beautiful plant. It's used in so many different formats and it has so many benefits. So I'm not one to judge anybody by what they do. I just don't like the way it makes me feel. I always feel really high anxiety. I feel like I'm not in control of my body. It's just not something that I enjoy. For some reason, this barista's energy gave me this vibe that like he put weed in my drink. And I know that that makes no sense. Nobody would ever waste weed on a stranger. I wouldn't. I just felt like there was weed in my beverage. Didn't taste like weed. Tasted like a beautiful, delicious oat milk latte. In my head, I was like, this has marijuana in it. Placebo is real. It really is like mind-boggling how your brain can just take things and make it seem like you're experiencing it. So I started feeling like I was high. Well, for what I remember being high felt like. I haven't felt high in a while. Drank the latte and I just started feeling like, oh my God, I'm getting stoned. Just kind of like gave me these flashbacks to these moments in life when I would have marijuana thrust upon me. I wasn't in a mindset that could enjoy it. Honestly, happens more times than I care to admit. I've been given marijuana in ways that I didn't even know I was getting marijuana. One time I was at a friend's house. She and her roommates, they partake in edibles, dabs. They love smoking. You know, it's like their thing.
I sound so lame talking about how people smoke weed. I'm so sorry. This is so terrible.
But I remember I was at the house. We were all hanging out. And everybody wanted to watch a movie. Got some snacks, and one of our friends, one of their roommates, made Mexican rice. We all scooped it into our bowl, sat in the living room, ate our Mexican rice. Well, unbeknownst to me, they just cooked weed butter in that pot, but they didn't rinse it out. They didn't clean it. So they made this huge batch of Mexican weed rice. I obviously didn't know. They don't really care, you know. I'm eating this rice. It was delicious, by the way. Watching this movie, all of a sudden, my legs go numb, like ice cubes. My eyes start to feel heavy, and my heart rate starts slowing down, which in turn starts giving me anxiety, and I don't know why. I think I noticeably looked uncomfortable because my friend looked over and was like,
"Hey, are you good?"
And I just couldn't speak. And for some reason, I felt like I was a ticking time bomb. I need to get home as quickly and as safely as I can before I'm fully stoned. I could not be in that house a minute longer if I was high. Without even saying anything, I just got up, grabbed my car keys, left, got in my car, and talked to myself and was like, you got this. You got to get home. I pulled in, went upstairs, and went straight into my mom's room. And she was already laying in bed because she's a teacher, so she goes to bed pretty early. And I remember I kind of was like, hey,
I think I'm high. I think I am stoned.
And she was like, oh God, because she's been through this with me before. You know, this isn't her first rodeo with me being a dumbass. I lay down next to her. And she's like, okay, well, talk about it. What are you feeling? I feel like I'm on a roller coaster and I can feel myself going up, 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 up. And then I feel the drop in my stomach. It was like, okay, well, you need to enjoy it. It's a roller coaster. Just enjoy the roller coaster. My legs and my arms are melting off the bed. In my head, of course. I feel like my legs and my arms are melting away from my body. Obviously, when you smoke weed, you get really tired. I'm going to pass out. As much as I want to have a panic attack, I know I'm about to get the best sleep of my life. Before I went to bed, I looked at my mom. You know, I understand now why weed is used for people who are suffering with terminal illnesses or cancers. I understand why people use weed. If I was in pain, I would want to feel like this because I felt so numb. I felt my body was just there. For me, that was my moment of like, oh, you know what? I don't fuck with weed, but
it's great.
Can we talk about the names? I don't know if this is a California thing. This could just be everywhere. When I was in school, weed was weed.
Can I get some weed?
The names that they have come up with for marijuana crack me up. They are too funny. One time I was sitting at work and my coworker, she grows weed, sells weed. She's all about her weed. We were on our lunch break and we were sitting next to each other and she was talking to her cousin. He was like talking about weed and like they were talking about their night. I'm just going to make up names, but I'm not far off. But he was like, oh yeah, he's like, you know, we got that Fireball, Chronic, Lego. Like, it just was the most insane shit I've ever heard in my life. Good Cushy Kermit, Linda Roberta Tangerine, Crystallized Fox Skin, Magnum PI,
Lemon.
And they were so serious about it. They were so responsive, you know, like she was like, oh yeah, I've had that. That shit was fucking fire. That was so fire. And I was sitting there trying to not crack the fuck up that these grown adults were like throwing around these names that just sent me. They were so funny. I need to know who names weed because a little part of me wants to be like, dude, what? And then the other part of me wants to be like, wow, thank you for making something like this so much more enjoyable for me. I learned from one of my regular customers who does a lot of like videography and music recordings that when you're editing, apparently when you clap your hands together, it's a way of like sound checking like the mic, so that way when you go to put the video or the audio with the video, you know where to start because the clap is like how you kind of line it up. So I'm just learning things. I'm just being a professional. I'm just doing it, you know, I'm just doing the damn thing. I am pretty heavily tattooed. I'm pretty involved in the tattoo community when it comes to having friends who are artists. I have a lot of local shops that I go into. I'm definitely somebody who enjoys tattoo and art and the culture behind it. It's different. Everywhere you go is different. I feel like I get different experiences being a tattooed individual wherever I am. You know, here in California, especially Northern California, the Bay Area, we have a lot of people who are tattooed. Like, it is so common to see tattoos, exposed tattoos and face tattoos and neck tattoos and full sleeves. And like, you see a lot of it. You know, for me here, I'm nobody. Like, I'm nobody. People just pass me on the street. The older generation, I think, in this area, they're like, oh, like,
whoa, you have tattoos.
The ones that I get a lot of are my palms. A lot of people, when they see these, they're just like, oh my God, that's so crazy. It is, but it isn't. Maybe look at more palms, Diane. Sorry, I got a text. I'm meeting up with a friend in a little bit. We're going to go
thrifting.
I love thrifting. Fucking just, I eat that shit up. When I was in New York, I went to a tattoo shop. Better yet, let's start with New Orleans. When I was in New Orleans, I went there for my 21st birthday, as one does. I remember I wanted to get a tattoo to remember the trip. I wanted to find a local shop. I wanted to sit with an artist, come up with a tattoo that was really inspired by the soul of the city, the heart of the city. I went to this shop. I don't remember the name, or else I totally would say it. I truly don't remember. But I do remember my artist. Her name was Katie, and she was amazing. She was so kind and so sweet. I told her I wanted
a New Orleans inspired tattoo.
I wanted to get like a shrunken head. I sat down. She started tattooing me. It was on my hand. It wasn't super bad. It's faded since. I have no desire to touch it up because it's significant to me. And I feel like if I touch it up here, then it's going to feel like I just got tattooed here and not there. So it's faded, but still one of my favorite pieces. I remember we sat there and we were talking. She told me about her move to the city and how since being here, she has no desire to leave. Like, she just loves it there. She gave me recommendations on bars and restaurants. I was really excited that I went there and I had that experience. After my tattoo, I went to go pay. And she was like, oh, it's this much. I'm not going to say how much it was. It was so
cheap.
I was noticeably shocked. She looked at me and she was like, where are you from again?
I'm from California.
And she was like, oh, babe, California prices are insane. I was also shocked when I came here and I saw like how much tattoos were. It wasn't like cheap. It wasn't super inexpensive. A tattoo's expensive no matter where you go. And honestly,
support your fucking artists and pay their prices.
Unless they're astronomical. My dog is fucking begging to get into the room. Hold. This is my son. That is my child. He's old. Don't make fun of him. If you make fun of him, I'll find you. When I was in New York, I also had the same sentiment where I was like, I'm here, I need a travel piece. I want something that makes me feel like New York City. I remember I found this shop through a friend of mine back here whose brother owns the shop. I was like super excited. This is great. I'm going to go. I walked in. It was kind of a late evening, probably getting closer to like their closing time, but they were very friendly, very welcoming. I didn't know what I wanted. I kind of had a concept rather than like a reference. I didn't care what artists I got. I just wanted this piece in this specific style that fits with my tattoos, which I have a lot of like traditional, bold, black and gray sort of tattoos. This artist, her name is Yoon Lovely. So talented. I remember I scrolled through her Instagram while I was waiting because they were like, oh, this is who's going to tattoo you. So I sat down, pulled up her Instagram, scrolled through, and was like, oh my God, I am in such good fucking hands. Like, this person is so talented. I told her the concept I wanted. I told her I want something that represents New York City for me. And that is architecture, art, and fashion. So she was like, amazing, I'm going to go draw something up. I'll be back. My friend who was with me was also getting tattooed, and she's a seamstress. She's an incredible, talented artist? Seamstress. That's not insulting, right? She's fucking talented. Oh, I bit my tongue.
She's fucking talented, okay? I complimented her.
But I remember she got a thimble. Like the thing that like the yarn, the thread is wound around. She got that because fashion. I sat down and she tattooed me. It was a beautiful experience. We didn't really talk much. She was a little bit more reserved, which is fine. I went to go pay, and that one, I thought California was expensive. Holy shit. You know what? I'm here. I'm feeling it. I'm going to do it. So what was I going to do? She was going to take the tattoo back. She tattooed me, so I had to pay. I gave her a tip too. Always tip your artist.
Always fucking tip your fucking artists. Holy shit, do it.
I think a lot of people don't realize that like an artist pays for their space. They rent their space. Also, tattoo artists have to pay taxes. And so they have to take a percentage of what they make and make sure that they can pay it at the end of the year.
So don't be a fucking asshole and tip your artists so that way they can have some walk away.
Not hard. Anyway, I've had a lot of incredible experiences. I've met a lot of amazing artists. I've made long-lasting friendships through the tattoo community. It is one of the most embracing communities of people that are so unique and so creative. I'm so honored to be invited to that space and to be able to hold space with people that I look up to. I wish that I had fucking talent. I can cook. And I can grow a beautiful garden of vegetables to eat, but I have no creative talent whatsoever when it comes to drawing or anything like that. On the darker side of tattoos, I will say that it is still taboo. I think that we're moving in a direction where tattoos are a lot more accepted. People are a little less aggressive about it. But I've definitely been in the service industry for a long time, and I've had times when people have like physically grabbed me and like gone to look at my tattoos. And I'll never forget this one old woman. She was sitting down with her family, and I was bussing tables, and I walked past her, and she grabbed my arm, physically grabbed my arm, and looked at it. And I was young. I didn't know how to stand up for myself. And I just remember being like, what is going to happen? And she kind of pushed my arm out, and she goes,
"You're doing the devil's work."
And I was like, yeah, I'm a I remember being like, yeah, please never touch me again. Like, this is insane. But I was so shocked when it happened that I didn't even know how to react. I just kind of walked away. And I wish that I had done something or said something, but it is what it is. And one time when I was in Mexico with my family on a trip, we went down to Teotihuacan, which is where the big pyramids are, the Pyramid of the Sun, Pyramid of the Moon. All of us were down there, and I had gotten my first tattoo. My first tattoo was in Mexico. It was at this sketchy ass fucking shop. We get to this door and we knock on it, and this guy opens it up, and I'm terrified. I think I was like 15 or 16. And as soon as we walked in, I kind of relaxed a little, because I was like, okay, this looks like a tattoo shop. Like, it looks clean, it looks organized. But I was just like, where am I? It was a culture shock. And I sat down, I told him what I wanted. I don't speak Spanish well. So I did the best that I could to kind of tell this guy what I wanted. And my uncle was with me anyway, so he was just kind of doing all the talking. And this guy started tattooing me. And I remember being like, am I going to survive this? Am I going to die? And I truly did think that I was going to die. But I survived, and I still have that tattoo, obviously. What's funny is when I told my parents that I wanted to get a tattoo, I'll never forget my mom looked at me and said,
"You're probably going to get one tattoo, and you're going to feel it, and you're never going to get tattooed again."
Flash forward to now, when I'm almost completely covered except for my stomach and my back. Safe to say she was fucking wrong. So we were in Mexico. We were at the pyramids. This guy, this white bald man, was there. I was seated in front of the bathrooms. He kind of looked over, and he saw that I had a bandage around this new tattoo. He goes, "Oh, is that a tattoo?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm young. I'm like 15, 16. And I was just like, "Oh yeah, like I just got it." He was just like, "Oh, can I see?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I showed him, and he said, "Oh, okay." And he was like, "What does it mean?" And I was like, "Oh, it's for my family." And he goes, "So you've given up on being a professional?" And I was like shocked. And he was like, "You're never going to get a job. You are never going to work in any kind of corporate job. You've thrown away your potential." I remember looking at this man being like, I don't want to be in a corporate fucking office. Like, that's not what I want in life. So why the fuck does it matter? Also, you don't know me. You don't know who I am. I don't know you. You're feeling real bold and brave coming at me, telling me that I don't have a future because I have a tattoo. Blows my mind how aggressive people are, and how just like overstepping they are when it comes to what your body looks like, how you present yourself, and what you do to your body. It's none of their business, but yet for some reason they make it their business. And I know that that can be translated in a lot of different formats nowadays, because I feel like every fucking year we're constantly having to tell people that it's our body and our choice. It has no effect on them. What I do to my body does not affect anybody else but me. The amount of people who come up to me at the gym, at the coffee shop, at the grocery store, the amount of people who come up to me and they say, "Love your tattoos," and I'll say, "Thank you." And then it's immediately followed up with,
"So I have this idea for a tattoo."
I'm not an artist, but these people, for some reason, when they see that I'm a tattooed individual, they all of a sudden think that I am the gatekeeper of the tattoo world. And so they will be like, "Oh, I have this idea for this tattoo that I want, and I'm thinking of putting it here." And they'll show me, and then they'll be like, "I love these colors, and I love this style." And I'm just sitting there like confused, just like, like, okay. And then And then they're like, what do you think?
What do I think? I don't fucking care. Do what you want. Get what you want. It's not my body. Like, if you want that tattoo, you should get that tattoo.
But it's just so crazy that these people will literally be like, oh, you have tattoos, therefore you should be the person to give me the advice. Just get it. A lot of the questions, too, that I get asked is, oh, does that hurt? Did that hurt? Yeah. A vibrating fucking needle ripping through layers of your skin, putting ink in, does not feel like a walk on the fucking beach. It is painful and it is miserable, and I hated every tattoo experience that I have ever gotten. I've never sat in a chair and been drilled. That sounds terrible. I've never sat in the chair and thought,
wow, I am loving this. I'm having so much fun.
no, nobody does that. Everyone knows that this hurts. Some of them are less uncomfortable than others, but most of the time you are going to be very uncomfortable. That's just what it is. And everybody's body is different, so your pain tolerance and threshold is different. You might have an experience where you feel less like shit, but you're still gonna feel like shit. It's still gonna fucking suck. And any asshole who sits there and tries to be like, oh yeah, I didn't feel a thing. It was fine. It didn't even fucking hurt.
They are liars. They are liars.
They just don't. They want to look tough. They want to look different. And also, anybody who sits there and goes, oh my God, yeah, like, I have such a high pain tolerance. Those are the ones that suffer the most. Those are the ones that are holding their breath, getting lightheaded, feeling like they're going to pass out. They're the ones who are like bitching and moaning the entire time, needing 15 breaks in between line work and shading. They're the ones who fucking suck. So if you ever hear somebody in a tattoo shop say, oh, I have a really high pain tolerance, they are about to suffer, and like, just own up to it. Just say that you hate this. And guess what? Your artist is probably going to be a lot happier knowing that you're going to communicate with them your limits. Also, eat before an appointment. Have a meal so you don't feel like you're going to pass out or throw up, you know? So like, take the proper steps that you need to do to sit through your appointment. And tip your fucking artists. But yeah, I don't really know what this is going to be. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just having fun. I don't want to take anything seriously. I just want to like live my life, make some fun shit, talk to some cool people, hang out. I also have not figured out a way that I want to sign shit off. So I'm just going to cut the footage and then put up a weird fucking black screen that's just going to say some random shit. And I'm honestly probably going to cut myself off as... Bye.